To understand why we carry out certain tasks within Revit, it is imperative that you understand the fundamentals of a building. This in itself is a huge topic, so I will very briefly cover the main areas. Generally, there are two major components of a building, the substructure and the superstructure. The substructure is part of the building that is built below the ground level, whereas superstructure is everything that is above ground. The foundations, which is the substructure of the building, transfers the loads from the superstructure to the underlying soil. Foundations are generally broken into two categories, shallow foundations and deep foundations. The different shallow foundation types are individual footing or isolated footing, combined footing, strip foundation, rafter or mat foundations. The different deep foundation types are pile foundations and drilled shafts. Generally, the foundations are made of concrete and reinforced with steel rebar. Then we have the superstructure. The superstructure is the portion of the building which is constructed above the ground level. This includes columns, beams, floor slabs, finishes, doors, windows, and anything else above ground. Finally, the building's finishes, which is also part of the superstructure. When talking about the finishes, we can be referring to both the external and internal parts of a building. Finishes serve many purposes. They can protect the element they finish from impact, water, frost, corrosion, abrasion, and the most important, being decorative. The building's finish can really define its character. Architectural finishes can refer to a variety of textures, colors, and materials, and refer to hard and soft, permanently fixed finishes, such as plaster or render, and other surface coatings, such as paint and wallpaper. This, of course, is a very brief overview of the fundamentals of a building. There is so much more to say, but we have to focus on the tool which will bring our construction products to life. In today's growing market, architects, engineers, and contractors are using BIM. And here's why. Global trends are making AEC projects more complex, and with the advancement of technology in the construction industry, they are helping industry professionals work more efficiently and effectively. This is where BIM steps in. Building information modeling, better known as BIM, is a process that begins with the creation of an intelligent 3D model and enables document management, coordination, and simulation during the entire life cycle of a project. Typically, a BIM project life cycle consists of these phases: plan, design, build, operation, and maintenance. The power of BIM is how it allows architects, engineers, and contractors to collaborate on coordinated models, giving everyone better insight into how their work fits into the overall project, ultimately helping them to work more efficiently. So, when an element in a model is changed, every view is updated, with the new change appearing in section, elevation, and sheet views. The data can be used in powerful analysis and simulations to include realistic visualizations. You can use the information in the model to improve the design before it's built, reducing costs of on-site errors and costly rebuilds. Improve construction timelines and lower project risks, resulting in better project outcomes. Create visualizations that help stakeholders understand what the building will look like before it's built. Owners can use BIM for predictive maintenance, asset tracking, and facilities management, as well as future renovation or deconstruction projects. With the power of BIM growing daily, let's not hesitate and get you started. Autodesk provides guidelines on the requirements to run different levels of models. The first is the minimum, which is an entry-level configuration. And this is also what is required to run Revit LT. This allows for a typical editing session for a single model up to approximately 100 megabytes on the disk. An example of this will be a small housing project. You will find large models, high CPU usage tasks, and renders will slow the computer down. The key requirements for this are Windows 10 at 64-bit, the highest recommended affordable CPU speed rating, a minimum of 8 GB of RAM. For basic graphic tasks, you will need a display adapter capable of 24-bit color, and for advanced graphics, you will need a DirectX 11 capable graphics card with shader model 5, and a minimum of 4 GB of video memory. You're also required a 30 GB of free disk space. Next is the value package, so a balance between price and performance. This allows for a typical editing session for a single model up to 300 megabytes on disk. You can manage larger models as well as high CPU usage tasks and renders. Key requirements for this are Windows 10 64-bit, the highest recommended affordable CPU speed rating, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and for your video adapter you need a DirectX 11 capable graphics card with shader model 5 and a minimum of 4 gigabytes of video memory. Disk space again is 30 gigabytes. Then there is the performance package, which is for large complex models. This allows for a typical editing session for a single model up to 700 megabytes. You'll be able to manage large complex models, high-end renders, and run all the features without issues. Key requirements are again Windows 10 64-bit, the highest affordable CPU speed rating, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and for your video adapter you need a DirectX 11 capable graphics card with shader model 5 and a minimum of 4 gigabytes of video memory, and 30 gigabytes free on disk space. They do also advise a 10,000 plus RPM hard drive or solid state drive. For the certified hardware, if you'll click the link in the PDF, this will bring you to the Autodesk Knowledge Network. Here we can use their Find Hardware tool to find the graphics card and driver which have been certified by Autodesk. It is advised to always use the certified graphics hardware as they have been tested by Autodesk to ensure that they work and are supported by the software. To use the hardware tool, first you'll select the product. So we have Autodesk Revit. Then select the year of the software, the operating system. Then you have listed all of the certified drivers for Revit. The graphics card on the left, then the generation, what memory it has, type, manufacturer, and then there's the driver's name. So if you're having any issues, just ensure that you have downloaded the correct driver and it is the current update for that driver. To get started using Revit, Autodesk offer you a 30-day free trial, which is the perfect amount of time to discover if this is the right software for you. If you are a student or educator, Autodesk do offer a 1-year free license. You must be a student, faculty, qualified educational institution, or other authorized education user to avail of this offer. Autodesk software and services are available via subscription only. Subscriptions to Autodesk products offer term licensing with automatic renewal and access to the latest software and product enhancements, support, and cloud services. Autodesk offer a single and a multi-seat subscription. There's also a subscription term, which is a pay-as-you-go subscription option, ranging from monthly renewal to 3-year terms. Yearly or multi-year contracts may save you money compared to a monthly renewal. Autodesk also offers support. All subscriptions come with basic support to help you get up and running. Some products include advanced support or offered as an option for an extra fee. On your screen is a comparison between Revit and Revit LT. So with Revit, you can plan, design, construct and manage buildings and infrastructure with powerful tools for building information modeling. While with Revit LT, you can produce architectural designs and documentation with more cost-effective, streamlined BIM software. The uses for Revit would be modeling building components, analyzing and simulating systems and structures, iterating and visualizing designs, generating design documentation for fabrication or construction. While Revit LT, designing and documenting building projects using BIM, generating 3D views, or producing BIM deliverables. What Revit does, offers BIM features for architectural design, structural engineering, and MEP engineering and fabrication. Imports, exports, and links data with formats including IFC, DWG, and DGN. Includes tools for 3D design visualization, reinforcement detailing, linking with steel detailing. And with Revit LT, we have 3D modeling in BIM, design documentation, design file exchange with Revit software users. Both Revit and Revit LT have a single user license, while full Revit includes Dynamo computational BIM design software and Insight, Revit LT does not. As of April 2020, Revit currently costs €3,195 per year, while Revit LT only costs $654. So depending on what you want to achieve with Revit, you have a choice between the full package or the light version. We're now going to get started on the download. If you'd like to click on the link in the PDF, there you'll find two. One is for Europe, one is for the United States. If you're outside of the United States or Europe, simply click on one, and on the top right hand corner you can change to your country. This opens up the Revit overview page. Here we can either download the free trial or directly subscribe. For this tutorial we're going to download the free trial. So we're going to click on download free trial. Here are a few things to know before you start the download. It shows the system requirements. If you haven't already purchased a laptop or desktop, I'd advise you to go to a specialist to ensure that the correct specs are purchased. So the trial file size is estimated at about 8 gigs. They recommend a 10 megabyte per second internet connection. We'll then click next. So who will be using the software? A business user or student or teacher. So for this example, I will select a business user. Well, here we'll select our language. For this instruction, I'll be selecting English. We'll then select next. We're now being asked to sign in. If you already have an Autodesk account, simply enter your email here and continue. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to create a new account. We'll be asked for your first name, last name, email address. You'll be asked to confirm that email address, create a new password, and finally agree to the terms and conditions. Once you've entered in the information, click on Create Account. There we have our account created. If you wish to sign up to their mailing list, tick the box. If not, we'll select Done. So they want to find out your company name, state, zip code, phone number, and the country of residence. Once you've entered the information, we'll then select Begin Download. The next stage, the software installer will automatically begin downloading. Once complete, we can either click on the installer in the bottom left hand corner or select the drop down arrow and select Open. This will start the installation process. The video has been sped up, so do pause to allow for your installation to catch up. Here we'll simply click on the Install button. Next we're presented with the license agreement, which I do advise you to read through. Once finished, scroll down and select I accept, then click on the Next button. The next screen is where we can configure the installation. First is the actual software itself, then the core content for Revit, like the family templates and library. Next is the additional language family libraries for Revit 2021. I want to use the UK metric library, so this is where I'm going to go and select that library. I do so by clicking on the blue eye symbol and then going to the website. This is where you'll choose the library for your country or region. I will be selecting the UK family templates and library. I do so by simply just clicking once, and that will begin the download. Once the download is finished, I can go back to the installer and will then click on Install. Again, I've sped up the video process, but to follow along, simply pause the video until your installer catches up. So the software has now been installed. Before finishing off, just do ensure that each one of these headings has a green tick. If not, you should restart the install process. Finally, we'll click on Launch Now. Next, we're asked if we would like to start a free trial or we can subscribe now. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to start a free trial. So you can see here I've got 30 days for my trial. If I wanted to subscribe, I can click here, and here are my plan options for monthly, 1 year or 3 years. So I'm going to close this window down. On the right hand side, I'm shown a notification bubble, which is going to help me get started. So I'll click on Start. I'm asked to select all disciplines that apply to me while I work. For example, architecture, structural or mechanical. I'm going to choose architecture. I'm then asked which best describes my job role. I'll choose architect. So the software has configured my workspace for me. We can try that out for the beginning, but we can always revert back to the full package later on. In this video, we'll be looking at organizing our templates as well as fixing the library issues. So we click on New. Here we'll see a list of all the different templates in both imperial and metric. So I want to fix that to only show metric. I'm going to choose the metric architectural template and click OK. If I select my wall tool and go to my type selector, I can see here that the component library is not the UK library, which is what I want to use. To fix that, I go to File, Options, and then File Locations. This is where we can change our project templates and our default path for our library content. First thing I'm going to do is remove the imperial templates. I do so by simply clicking on it, and then on the left hand side there is the minus symbol, which will then remove that template. And now I'm left with only the metric templates. If you're working in imperial, then simply delete the metric templates. I now want to ensure that the template has the correct file path. So first I'm going to click on the construction template. Once I click on the template, a small grey box appears, which we will click on. Here is where I'll select the UK construction template. This is also where you will select your correct country's template. I'm going to do the exact same procedure for the architectural and structural templates. Lastly, I'm just going to rename each one of the templates. Reason being, we don't want to have metric in front of each template name, so I'm simply going to delete that. So it will now read construction, architectural and structural. Just below that is the default path for user files. So just double check that you're happy with that file path. If you want to change, go to the browse and reconfigure the file path. And then below that is the default path for family templates. So when I click on Browse, it brings me into the family template folder, and I'm then going to select the English folder. Below that is the root path for point clouds. Again, if you want to change that, go to Browse and reconfigure your file path. At the very bottom, there is a Places button, which we're going to look at next. This is where we'll reconfigure our library file path. On the left we have our library name, on the right is our library path. So for the metric library, again I'll select the path on the right hand side and then the grey box. Here you'll notice that the library doesn't actually exist, so we need to fix that. To do so, cancel this and cancel this, and we'll close that down. Next I want you to open up two windows. On the left we'll have our C drive and on the right we'll have our downloads. Earlier on, we downloaded the templates and libraries from Autodesk website. First thing we need to do is extract the library from that file. So we'll right click and run as administrator. Here my Windows Defender is trying to block that. So to get around it, click on more information and then run anyway. If you can't run as administrator, please ensure that you are logged in as the administrator. Next, we just need to extract the file. So we'll click extract. Next, we need to place the library in the correct folder. So on the left hand side in my C drive, we need to access the program data. So in order to do that, at the top, we'll change our tab to View. Then in the Panels, Show and Hide, we want to click on Hidden Items. That will reveal the program data folder. Next, we'll scroll down to RVT 2021. It can also appear as RLT. So we'll double click that and then double click on the Libraries folder and then double click on the UK folder. And there we'll see the full UK metric library. So now we'll go back to Revit, click on File, Options, File Locations, down to Places. We're now going to delete the Imperial library because we don't need that. So we'll select it, then click on the negative symbol. We'll then go into the metric library itself. So click on the path, then the gray square. So we need to hit the folder back button until we arrive at the Autodesk folder. We'll then scroll down to RLT or RVT 2021, double click on the libraries, double click on the UK, and we've now reconfigured the file path. To test that everything was correct, under the Insert tab, go to Load Family, and it should automatically open up the UK library. To test the templates, I'm going to close down this drawing, come back to the Start screen, click New, select our templates. There we have Construction, Architectural, and Structure. So we'll click on Architecture and press OK. We can now go to our Wall tool, and there is my UK library. Same for the doors. We can go to Load Family, and again it will bring us back to our UK library.